Hello, this is the RPG Crawler, and welcome to another Indie Game Friday, where each week I take a look at another independent computer role-playing game. This week it's going to be a bit of a shorter review, because I'll be looking at more of a Gamebook style game, but it's also one that's related to a game that I've covered before. By the same company that made Dust and Salt, The Battle for Murk is a short Gamebook style game developed and published by Prime Games, who were kind enough to provide me with a review copy. It was released on Steam on July 11th, 2018. Now, the original Dust and Salt was a gamebook that tracked the progress of a young barbarian uniting lands to take on a civilization that had done in his family. In The Battle for Murk, set in the same world, you take on the role of Corporal Mandrake, a member of the City Watch in the very city that you war against in the first game. Rather than a grand journey through the land gathering allies, the focus is instead on a besieged city and the treachery that occurs within its very walls. Like its predecessor, The Battle for Murk is more a gamebook than an RPG proper, in the vein of the old fighting fantasy series. In this instance, however, the main character has but a few stats, reduced even from the ones in Dust and Salt, and more in line of what's necessary for the story presented. There is stamina that represents health, honor which goes down as you commit dishonorable acts, open wounds that can accrue if you're heavily injured in battle, basic equipment that you can pick up due to various story positions, gold, and clues that you uncover during your investigations. There is also a map that allows you to journey to various parts of the city and engage in investigations in each particular area, as well as milestones that allow you to resume from a particular decision point in the game. The Battle for Murk shares the same game world as Dust and Salt, and it indeed seems to be an excerpt from the first game, albeit from the point of view of someone on the other side. As such, there's the same sort of gritty feel to the game world, and really, I guess that should be expected. The Battle for Murk also focuses more on story, investigations, and maneuvering through the political intrigue surrounding a single particular event. In addition, it is much shorter. This results in a very compact story with more limited options to explore. Gameplay proceeds simply through blocks of text, with you, the player, occasionally prompted to choose among several actions. There's not much in the way of visible random tests, or if they are, they've settled on doing them behind the scenes, so you really have no input beyond choosing which path to take and having particular gear or whatever when the decision point comes up. Some paths may be completely unavailable depending on whether you've acquired certain equipment or have certain levels of honor or gold left. All in all, it's more about deciding what your particular character might do over what some dice or random number generator might provide you. I want to say that in terms of graphics and writing, The Battle for Murk is somewhat superior to its predecessor, at least in terms of my opinion. It seems that some of the initial quirks in the engine have been hammered out a bit as well. And there is a little bit of replayability in it, since there are definitely a couple ways to get to the proper ending. However, there's not a whole lot of playtime to go through in general. And indeed, for once, I was actually able to finish something that I was going to review for Indie Game Friday, all the way from the start. The Battle for Murk really has two saving graces about it. The first is that the writing is pretty solid, so if you're more interested in decent fiction, or if you were a fan of the first game, or a fan of game books in general, then that might have more impact. The other saving grace is that the price really isn't too bad, especially if you're comparing it with other game books or short fiction stories. I think that if you enjoy these sorts of games, you're probably going to get your money's worth, but if you prefer a far more interactive and proper RPG experience, then you're going to want to give this one a miss. It's not going to sell you on the genre. The first one might, but not this one. Anyway, there's not really a lot else to say on the matter with how brief the game is and how simple the mechanics are. So, I'll leave it at that. This has been the RPG Crawler with Indie Game Friday, The Battle for Murk. Link will be in the description below as always. If you like what you've seen, remember to leave a like, comment if you got any feedback, and subscribe for more tabletop and computer RPG content. If you're feeling particularly generous, I do have a Patreon at patreon.com/rpgcrawler, which goes towards supporting this channel. Until next time, take care and goodbye.